Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure, and this is a Colonel Failure Special Edition one-off kind of video kind of deal. Because today, well, a couple of days ago, was the 5th anniversary of me having started doing this video making business, and I thought therefore that I would do something completely original that nobody has ever done before. I then thought, well, I haven't got any of those ideas, so I'll do a Colonel Failure reacts to Colonel Failure's first Colonel Failure video in a Colonel Failure style. Right, bombastic intro, then let's rock it. Right then, chaps, here's the scoop. We've crashed on an alien planet and all of our gear has been destroyed. Colonists will be arriving shortly, and it is our job to make sure that when they turn up, they are not unduly harassed by Johnny Alien. So here we are. Now, it took me probably half a dozen attempts to get this right, you know. Doing your very first bit of VO is hellishly complicated, because you kind of know what you want to sound like, but then you trip over your words and you don't quite get it right, so you have multiple swings at it. And I think this was take 10. I had a notion of what the persona was that I was going to represent out there on internet land, and I thought, well, you're British, right? And therefore, you know, you hear stories about your American cousins be quite partial to a British accent, and you're relatively well spoken, and therefore, why not lean into that a little bit and try and up the tempo on that? So I did, and it sounds a bit like this. Lovely field here. So the coal is going to certainly drive our economy. I don't sound particularly different to the way I do now. Largely because as a 41-year-old, as I was at the time, you're largely set in your ways by that point. You've developed your personality, and you've got what you've got. The one thing that I notice is that actually I'm not very fun. I'm pretty flipping dry, and while I've got a dry sense of humour, in this, it's not even slightly coming through. I think I'm too busy worried about being factual and explaining the game. I'd never really got that. I'd never really established, well, what is my purpose of being here? Am I seeking to entertain people, or am I seeking to inform them? Burner drill up and running. Yeah, so being factual versus being entertaining is, I'd not really given that due consideration. These days, of course, I kind of swerve into one or the other, and deliberately try and keep that on topic, on focus, as it were. So most of my kind of gameplay videos, they're all purely there for entertainment. But once in a while, I'll do something that is out and out intended to be educational. So what you're saying is your Let's Plays are not entertainment? No, they very much are. Anyway, this is Factorio, as I'm sure you already know. More drills. Now, I'd unwittingly chosen a really good game to be my first that I committed to video, and I'd already played a fair chunk of it by the time we got to this point, and it was still very, very alpha-y, playable but alpha nonetheless. And it was, what, 3 years away? 2 years, 3 years away from being released on Steam. Now, the wizened old dog in me now would say, oh, that's maybe a smidge early to get sunk in, unless you think it's going to be huge. Now, of course, Factorio did end up being huge. I missed that particular boat. I bailed too early, and plus I was never that concerned with, oh, now you make the robust... mighty loop of danger, your centralized bus, that all of that business. No, I didn't bother with any of that. No, I was more interested in, you know, let's just build some stuff, and then let's make the next stuff to do some more. What's going on here? Electronic circuits need copper. Yeah, electronic circuits. Oh, flipping it! The number of man hours wasted on electronic circuit creation, my giddy aunt. The problem with Factorio, of course, is that it's solitaire for nerds. No, I mean nerds in the nicest possible way. After all, I am one. But yeah, great fun to play on yourself. Boring as hell to watch anybody else do it. And I don't care how stimulating the idea is that they've got, because all you're going to do is you're going to get to 32 seconds in where they show a quick zoom out of the thing they've built, hit pause, then go and make it for yourself. And then you don't need some full rabbiting over the top of it. No, you've just gone and done it. But my first 50 videos were all Factorio all the time. I then diluted that by adding in a game called Train Fever. And that seemed to be quite popular, so I kept doing it. And yeah, it did seem quite popular. And there was a heady period there where I was covering Train Fever and a game called City Skylines, which you may be familiar with, in parallel. And those were the only two things I covered. You get 4 videos a week, 2 of each, and I just merrily trundled along in that direction. I tried numerous, almost too numerous to mention, other titles along the way. And I'm supposed to be reacting to this video, aren't I? But it's boring. It's not. I mean, here we go. Listen.
But we don't want to wander too far because we'll likely run into an alien encampment.
Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. If I decided to take an ASMR route, this is the perfect kind of fodder to put you to sleep. Apart from the rather ear-grinding digging noise that is made very, very frequently in the game. But no, I'll leave him just muttering away in the background there. I don't think he's particularly going anywhere. Although I do seem to be going for a bit of a wander at the moment. But it took me ever such a long time, not with Factorio, but with all videos generally, before I kind of latched onto the idea about how about having a plan before you press the record button. I think it probably took, and I still do it now, is I still occasionally hit the let's go, and I haven't got a clue what I'm going to be doing. I mean, you know, when I'm going for a blind play, such as the glorious likes of Playway stuff, so whether that's Cooking Simulator or House Flipper or whatever, I'm gonna let it wash over me, and the fun will happen. But for something where I'm playing a lengthier series, it really is helpful to kind of go, right, what am I going to focus on today? One thing, focus on it, get it done, tie it in a neat little bow, and then pass it out there onto internet land for people to pour scorn over. Far, far the better way to do things. In this, turn it up, turn the camera on, see what happens. It's all good. Anyway, let's have a listen to see what Laughing Boy's got to say for himself.
Reasonably obnoxious-looking alien settlements who are going to come and cause us pain later on.
Reasonably obnoxious alien settlements that are going to come and cause us pain later on. That's not bad. That would fit in relatively well now, but of course I speak an awful lot quicker now than I did then, largely because it masks me going and every 3 words. I've turned that into a form of except when you have a pregnant pause like this one. I've turned it into a form of punctuation. It's a verbal tick. It's a Jeff Goldblumism. There you go, that's my excuse and I'm sticking with it. Hey, and if Marquis Smith can get away with going at the end of every sentence, I can get away with anything. So no, where are we? We are now 5 years on, and I've gone from exploring what YouTube was and what it meant to be a YouTube personality creating type individual type kind of dude, to being someone who's optimistically chasing after doing it all the damn time. And I'm getting closer. It currently represents 2 out of my 5 working days a week. Well, I say that, but it occupies 2 out of my 5 working days a week, plus weekends, plus what I do in the evenings as well. And herself will routinely tell me to pack it in and do something else for a change. She mentions occasionally that it's incredibly rare I play a game just for my own enjoyment. Usually trying to commit absolutely everything to video for your potential enjoyment. But if I'm not recording, what's the point? What's the point of playing? No, you rapidly change your perspective on games. And my perspective on games had already changed a fair amount, given that I'd worked on games. You start off, here's a pro tip for you, people that want to do anything kind of commercially related to games, and whether that's doing this video behavior type stuff or or whether that's working in the games industry or something along those lines, does change your relationship with them. Initially, you kind of go, this is amazing. I'm just doing games for a living. And you kind of go, yeah, it's great. It is genuinely great. And even after 20 years of doing it, it's still great to be working with games. But you also learn that actually games you don't get obsessed with them. Very rarely will a game come along that you want to spend more than a couple of hours with. You'll kind of go like, yeah. Do the first 3 levels going, oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Right, what's next? Because there are now a billion games that you could go off and play. And only once in a while does one come along that properly gets its claws into you. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm old and a little bit been there, seen it, done it. But it's very much like Marvel movies in that respect. They first come along and you're all, ooh and ah, and ooh, ah. And then by the 25th one, you kind of go like, yeah, and then they're going to have a big fight. And then there's going to be some talking. And then they're going to have a big fight, and then Tony Stark will say something funny. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, you see, you just get jaded the more you're used to these things. That moment of, this is a fresh game experience, it doesn't stick around very long. But maybe that's just me. All right, what are we up to now? Still chopping wood, I see. I've skipped forward a bit. Well, that's going to make editing more of a challenge, isn't it? Where are we? 12 minutes. Let's get 15 minutes. Let's get into the wrap up. Realistically speaking, I should edit this out, but you can never be certain whether I decide to leave it in as yet more evidence of my own humanity, as it were. I think the fact that I'm incredibly hot today is possibly evidence enough of my own humanity. Right, come on, amuse me. On down, or I'm blowing through it far faster than I was before. So it's a decent way of setting up an early warning system to let you know that your resources are running low. So here we go, inserters doing some inserting. So now we've got all 3 boilers online, despite the fact we don't need all 3 boilers online. The power redundancy system is pretty robust. Great. And what we need next is not going to work right now. What we need to do is split this conveyor. We'll take a lot of the grunt work out of putting new machines together, but I don't want that straight away. What I do want is the first phase of logistics. It's not easy, you know. I'll tell you, it isn't. It isn't easy. It takes an awful lot of practice, and I've had an awful lot of practice now, and I'm not making it look any easier. But it takes an awful lot of practice to just be able to unspool your mind enough to the point that the words just come flowing out. You don't even think about it particularly. It just kind of happens. You're in an immediate response kind of a state, and whether or not it's a me thing, and I suspect it very much isn't, is that you have an internal clock of how long has it been since I last said something that was fun, rather than simply calling out what's in front of you on the screen. And one of the ways that you do that, of course, is that you just turn all filters off with regard to, particularly with games like Factorio or any kind of a management-y, plan-y kind of a game. Turn all filters off, and instead of keeping it in your head, say it out loud instead. So what I'm going to need to be doing now is probably going to wander up here and grab a few more trees, if I can find any trees, that is. You never know whether you can find any trees. So that you never know if you can find... That's all fill, right? Is that dead air is the enemy. Now the thing is, dead air is not the enemy. Dead air is a point at which you can reconstitute your brain process and potentially come up with something devastatingly funny to unleash on an unsuspecting public. More often than not, however, you don't unleash anything devastatingly funny on the public's unsuspecting or otherwise. Instead, you just keep rattling away, and once in a while, a fun turn of phrase happens to spill from your lips. Right, okay, let's skip to the end of this, Charlie. I've got to move the video around because my camera's right. See, I've got the video behind the camera, you see, so that I can look at you while watching the video at the same time. Although it's Factorio, there's precious little to watch. It's all about listening to the stimulating and sparkling commentary. Right, last 30 seconds. Let's have it. So yeah, so we've upgraded to electric here. We've got electric power on the go, which is being supplied automatically by this coal mine here.
fantastic. And what we're going to do next time is we're going to automate getting our copper up into our central factory area.
10 seconds, man. Come on, call to action.
Iron plate out of our furnaces, as well as getting coal and iron ore into them. So why don't you tune in next time and see how that pans out?
Is that it? No, that's no way to end a video. Where's Cheerio, for starters? When did I start doing that? I thought I started doing it from the get-go. Evidently, that is not the case. Oh, well, interesting. So there you go. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and along the way, sorry, I made the camera bounce up and down. I'm not having some kind of geological moment. That's me leaning on the desk, which is a bit more bouncy than the old one. What? Yeah, 5 years I've been doing this, and along the way I have made just over 1,600 videos. That's a lot of videos, and arguably I could have done better by doing. I could have achieved greater results by making better videos, because I know how to make good videos. I genuinely do, and once in a while they come along. If you hop down on the front of my channel, I don't know if you've seen these or not. Quite a few of you have actually, but I've got a section called Kernel Lifestyle. Pick one of them. If you don't know which one to pick the Descenders video. I know, I've mentioned it numerous times before, but you might not have seen it yet. And that's what an on-point, focused and edited video should look like, is that your delivery of entertainment is fast and it's loose and it's fluid. Now, the video itself is too long. Should be like 14, 15 minutes. But when recording it, because I didn't record the commentary after, I was recorded at the same time, when recording it, I actually just had it. It was just, something to say, followed by something to say, followed by something to say. References to just about everything in there, and it was just coming fast and furious, and therefore it kept it, zipping along really quite nicely. But yeah, go and have a look at one of them. That's what a good edited video looks like. And in the next year, I'm going to be changing the way that I do videos. Don't worry, no, it'll be all the same stuff that you're used to right now, but better. The time has come for me to stop being quite so rough and ready with things and start moving towards being slightly less rough and slightly more ready. And I enjoy your company, but I invite you to be part of that. And if therefore you are watching this out of some kind of curiosity, because you've got no idea who I am, because this is your first video you've seen of mine. Bizarre. Someone I don't know reacts to something I'm not caring about. Well, brilliant. It's an odd choice for a first video, but, welcome to the party, pal, he says as he throws a terrorist corpse out of the window that lands on bonnet of your cop car. That's the kind of thing you can expect here. Right, there you go. On to the next 5 years. Let's keep going until YouTube shuts its doors and throws me out the window to land on the bonnet of Al's cop car. And he just wanted some donuts because he was stuck behind a desk. And he'd been there all that time since that time that he mistake a young lad with a toy pistol for a potential threat. It's a tragic story. Right, there you go. That's enough of that. Right, there you go. Kernel Failure reacts to stuff. It's a riveting format, I'll grant you, but 5 years. If I put the time and effort in, I'd be delivering this in like 3 months' time, and you kind of go, well, 3 months ago I'd been doing this 5 years. That's not an anniversary. That's a shambles, as is the ending of this video. Right, hasta luego, my friends. I will catch you anonymously. Oh, how am I going to blend into the bit? I'm going to say, right, hold on, wait, I've got an idea. So, subscribe if you're new here, and you can catch up on more of that when the time comes. And won't that be nice? Yeah. Anyway, cheerio. So there you go. Your first Kernel Failure reacts to Kernel Failure reacting to Kernel Failure video. Although maybe that's the next one when we go double meta. Maybe I'll do it every year. Maybe I'll react to my reaction video on an annual basis. Someone remind me in August, and we'll see if we can get around to that. Anyway, speaking of meta, you know, doing this 2-camera bit when you've done the whole video as a 2-camera bit, well, that adds a layer of complexity that I hadn't really counted before kicking off. So you've got me from just a couple of minutes ago over there pulling faces while I say stuff to the camera over here in that way that I've taken to doing, because apparently people respond well to you showing that you're a human being, genuinely a human being. I've got a few miles on the clock, but I still qualify just about. Anyway, there you go. Right, what's coming up? Trains, more trains, a few more trains, some network building, quite a few one and dones. I've got a mission ahead of me, and I'm going to do a lot of one and dones. Yes, I don't know which one I'm going to do first, but I'll be done with it after one.